Those two performances, is it that we'll look back in 2 or 3 years' time and go, that was where these young boys come of age?
Your manager can get you to the dance, but when you get to a cup final, you need players to create those moments.
Pay 25 mil to Man United and keep Jadon Sancho, or you can pay 5 mil to them and send him back. What would you do?
That, for me, was the turning point in our season that confirmed we are capable of getting top 4, top 5. He's shown that actually he can manage this squad and get the wins, the 1-0 wins, be tight at the back. That's probably the best thing about what Maresca's done this season.
Does he start Chelsea's first league game of the new season?
No. But as a young centre forward, if you're, let's say you are him watching that, you're going, I'd probably start.
Conference League champions, we've won it all. Up the
Chelsea.
Chelsea. Hello and welcome to Inside Chelsea, the show for Chelsea fans by Chelsea fans. I'm Olivia Buzaglo and I'm joined by former Chelsea defender Jason Cundy and broadcaster and lifelong Chelsea fan Kweku Afari. Conference League champions. We have become the first team in history to win all of UEFA's competitions. I sat here with a massive smile on my face this morning. A huge success this season, Jace. But winning the Conference League, it was big, wasn't it? Even though it's the third UEFA competition, it felt big last night.
It felt big for a number of reasons. One, because it's got such a young squad, and it's the first time these boys, some of them, OK, look, Enzo's got a World Cup winners, Kukureya's got Euros, right? Take those two out. Other than that, it's the first real major medal these boys have got. Is it the one we want to win every year? Of course it's not. But we had to win it. And the reason we had to win it is because the money we spent, how the whole thing was projected. The optic was, if Chelsea don't win it, we get ridiculed. Right? And now we win it, we can't celebrate it. Well, I think we should celebrate it, but, you know, in our own way, because we've seen the biggest of the biggest. And it's a good one to win, and I think there's a foundation which we can build on, going into the Club World Cup, going next season at the Premier League, and going to the Champions League.
Yeah, we won't be having an open-top bus parade because, you know, we've seen it all, you know, we've done it for Champions League and stuff. And also, I was listening to talkSPORT, actually, on the way here, and Jamie O'Hara going on about last night after the game about how...
Bitter.
Thank you, so bitter. But also, I think he's forgetting that we didn't actually qualify for the Conference League. We qualified for the Europa League. Man United won the FA Cup, which meant we were put into the Europa League. The funny thing about it is that if we were in the Europa League, we would have beaten Spurs in the final.
100%.
So he needs to...
Well, with Chelsea, and this is the thing that we do, whenever we drop into the secondary or this year the tertiary European competition, we win it. In 2013, we won it. In 2019, we won it. This year, we won it. When we drop into the competitions that we're not really supposed to be in, we win it. Spurs were in the Europa Conference League a couple of years ago. Did they win it?
What happened?
They went out of it. They tell us they didn't want to win it, but they went on an open-tour bus parade when they won the Europa League. So I don't want to hear it from any other fan bases. We've won 2 European Cups. 4 years ago to this day, we won the European Cup with a squad that was unfancied, a squad that maybe 2 years ago were playing their football in the Championship. I don't want to hear it from anybody else. Before the season started, we got told, welcome to death row. We got told, oh, this Chelsea team are not going to be the same as they were under Roman Abramovich. Under Clear Lake, we've all had our complaints, right? 12th in their first season, 6th in their second season, and 4th in their third season. We're going in one direction, right? And I want to give a shout out to the fans that travelled to Wroclaw. It's not an easy place to get to. They travelled out there in their masses. The city was covered in blue. And if you think about Chelsea fans that go home and away and go to these cup finals, apart from the Club World Cup and the Super Cup, Chelsea have lost 5 out their 6 last cup finals. Obviously, lost 3 FA Cup finals in a row. We lost 2 League Cup finals in a row. It was obviously won the big one, the important one, the Champions League. But it was important for us to go out there and win a cup final to get that winning feeling back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you were spot on with every single thing you said. That I got massive FOMO. When I was like, oh, I'm not going to go because I'm working, and then I just saw all the fans out there in the build-up to it. I was like, why am I not there? I should be there. But next season, back in the Champions League, I will be back on a European tour, and I cannot wait. But Jace, I think Kweku said it all there perfectly. But it wasn't about the Conference League as a competition last night. It was about, I think you mentioned it earlier, the young, inexperienced squad with a young, inexperienced manager knowing what it feels like and knowing how to deal with the pressure of being in a cup final and actually overcoming what they did in that first half to then put in such a brilliant second half performance to get them over the line. That whole experience is going to be invaluable to them as they're pretty much all starting their careers.
So I think you could make a case, Liv, to say what you just said there happened on Sunday. And maybe that second half performance against Forest, getting our noses in front, finding a way to manage the game, in-game management. I thought Maresca done very well second half against Forest. We'll talk about the first half in a second that we saw last night. But I just wonder how much that, because we had 2 cup finals.
Yeah.
Forest and against Betis last night. We had to win both of those, and we did. And the second half performance against Forest, I was so proud of what I saw. A young team, but also managing the way through, because Forest's a tough place to go. Then we go in, fast forward into last night. Not dissimilar, actually. Not dissimilar. Second half performance was outstanding. Maresca changed things. You know, clearly what was going on with Malo right back didn't work. Wasn't working after 20 minutes. And he made the change at half-time and we get things right. So you're absolutely right, Liv. It was a battling. And I just wonder, those 2 performances, is it that we'll look back in 2 or 3 years' time and go, that was where these young boys come of age?
Yeah. I mean, talking of that first half, Kweku, I was pulling my hair out. And that is like I was going mental. I was so angry at that first half performance. And I think, to be honest, I think we speak for most Chelsea fans that were so frustrated because fair play to Maresca for getting it right eventually, but he got it wrong from the start yesterday, didn't he?
He did. And obviously REECE James is his captain and he's never going to come out and criticise the manager, but you could tell REECE James was like, why didn't I start that game? He's obviously feeling great in himself. He's come out and said that physically. And when he came on in the second half for Malo Gusto, it completely changed the game. There was one instant where he put the ball into the box and said, this is the difference, right? REECE James on his day is one of the best right-backs in the world. Malo Gusto struggled to find consistent form this season. He's still a very good player, but that clearly didn't work. I love the fact that Maresca at half-time made a change because at points this season, we criticised him for not being proactive enough. He wasn't at cup final and it made the huge difference. But I'm with both of you. In that first half, it wasn't good enough. And I think it's because obviously it's the hate watching from the opposition fans who are texting you and telling you what they're going to say to you at full time if you don't win this game. But it's also the fact that in the history of European football, I don't think there's ever been a team that's been as prohibitive favourites as Chelsea were for this competition.
Yeah, massively.
We were on the high to nothing, really. If we win it, we don't get any credit. If we lose it, we get all the criticism. And so that's, I think, what we were fearing in the first half, but we figured it out and absolutely destroyed Betis in the second. Yeah,
we did. We absolutely did destroy them. They didn't have much left to give in that second half. But would you have liked Enzo Maresca to have maybe made that decision a little bit earlier rather than waiting until half-time? Because Betis in that, especially that first half an hour, there's a couple of really big chances they had that could have made it 2-0. And going into half-time 2-0 down is a mountain to climb. There is absolutely no guarantee that Chelsea come out in the second half and play the way they do. So could he have made that decision at 30, 35 minutes?
I think he could, and he was definitely thinking about it.
Yeah.
That would have gone through his mind. In the modern day manager now, the strength of the bench can change the way the game looks. And you often hear now the bench, when you look at a game that's tight, what bench can change the game? Look at the opposition bench, look at our bench. And the bench did have a difference.
Yeah.
Also, as a manager, I think you also trust your instincts because he would have thought about this team for a long time. And he's going, this is what I wanted to go with. I'm going to stick with it. I don't want to throw the baby out straight away now. And he waited till half-time. That was a nice punctuation in which to make the change and get his message across. So, yeah, in answer to your question, could he have done? But when managers don't always get the first team right, it won't be alone. Getting that first selection right, then you can look at the bench. Look, and criticise him for not getting it right in the first place, but I think praise needs to come and say, recognised it, come from the bench, put REECE on, and the game changed.
Also, with his team selection for last night, that wasn't our strongest 11, right? So he's managing not just the tactics in that game, but also managing the personalities and the people that brought him to the dance. In the Conference League, we have rotated massively. REECE barely played in the lead up to it. And I think that he wanted to give credit to those players who got us to the dance. Otherwise, we would start with Levi Colwill centre back. We would have played our first 11. But we didn't. It was a bit of a rotated 11.
And the keeper as well.
And the keeper as well. So it's a case of it wasn't our best team out there, but when there was the opportunity to make the change, he made it. If he brings off Malo Gusto after 30 minutes, he kills him. He kills him. And not just for the game, but for next season as well. And Malo Gusto at full-time whistle was smiling. He knew that he didn't have a good game. But bringing somebody off in the first half, you're making a huge statement, which I think he waited till half-time and he made the right decision.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned it, that was actually going to be my next question about the starting 11, because I understand Jorgensen starting in goal. I get that, and I think that was a good move from Maresca. He's played the whole tournament pretty much, and he deserved his spot in the final. However, I think he should have just gone with his strongest 11. It's a cup final in a European competition. I just think they're professional footballers. They understand, it's about winning. And when you get to a cup final, I personally believe you should pick the best possible team you can to win that game. Betis are a tougher opposition than anyone Spurs or United would have faced in the Europa League this season.
Well, he made 4 changes out the back 5. So you think about that, and it looked like that, didn't it? The opening 30, 35, 40 minutes, it did look like there's been a lot of change, a lot of disruption, but then he got it right. You know, we're sitting here now, we've won the cup. Had we not won it, I think the criticism would be fair, but we come away with a trophy. Yeah. He made the substitutions. In the end, Cole Palmer does what Cole Palmer do, and just produces two pieces of brilliance. But up top, we weren't good enough when we got in the final third. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. Defensively, we're all over the place for parts of that. But he got it right, and we won the cup. So you know, well played him overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he deserves huge credit for recognising. I mean, I think it was glaringly obvious what needed to happen at half time, but fair play to him for actually being proactive and making that change. And REECE James just came on, I think, changed the game completely.
He's just a calm and I feel for Gusto, because actually I've seen games where Gusto's played that inverted. He's done well. Yeah. Last night he struggled, and that's all right, saying his day job. But REECE came in and just made a huge, just the calmness.
You look like you.
No, I'm just thinking about Malo Gusto a long time in terms of the way he fits into Maresca's plans, because I think this Chelsea team is... Obviously, there are clear improvements that we need to make, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But if you look at our fullbacks, right, Marc Cucurella, I don't care what anybody says, when people do a team this season, the fact that he doesn't even get a shout as being the highest scoring defender in the league this year is crazy to me.
I think people just hate us.
Yeah.
I think people are overlooked. Like, they're overlooking Caicedo in midfield as well.
Let's get to that point where people hate us. When we were at our absolute best, we were the most hated team in the league. But I look at those full-backs, look at REECE James, obviously, on his day, one of the best right-backs in the world. And I just look at the bones of the squad. I know Malo Gusto didn't have his best day yesterday, but like Jace mentioned, he's had his good days in the Chelsea shirt. And when he first signed, he was absolutely electric. So I look at this team, I think we've got strength and depth. And the fact that we can bring REECE James off the bench in a cup final is testament to the strength we do have in depth in the back four.
Yeah, I mean, a few weeks ago on this exact podcast, we were literally sat here saying that from looking at what Enzo Maresca was doing, that REECE James is not in Chelsea's strongest 11. We were looking at that going, well, you've got to fit everyone in, then he's not. Is he now?
Well, the Newcastle away performance, you know, you look at game by game, Lavia struggled in there against Newcastle, gives the ball away. We went down to 10 men. He brought REECE on and he put Caicedo in the middle of the park alongside Lavia. Alongside Enzo. Yeah. And we were brilliant. Yeah. OK, Newcastle deserved to win, and we didn't do enough over the 90 minutes, had our moments. But 11 v 11, I think we put in a different performance. But that was the moment for me where, even though Caicedo can do that inverted fullback at right back, there will be games where that can happen. But in big moments and big games, Liv, you need your best players in their best positions, and that's where Caicedo is, in the middle of the park.
OK, so REECE James, looking at that Chelsea squad now, so you're thinking with Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo, Palmer, REECE James. Yeah. Does REECE James start at right back? And if so, who starts in the middle? Yeah,
REECE James does start at right back, and Jace is right to point out the Newcastle game, because from that game onwards, we haven't seen Lavia start for Chelsea. And I think Lavia is absolutely brilliant. But if you have to fit everybody in,
do you drop Lavia?
REECE James starts at right back. And it's Caicedo and Enzo midfield. But those are options, right? When you look at City squad when they're in the absolute pomp, you'd be like, how do you fit all these players in? You do, you find a way. REECE James, for me, needs to be playing between 25 to 30 league games a season. That's what his body can take, right? And in those situations, you can bring a Caicedo to right back. You can put Lavia next to Enzo. But if we're going with our best team, and Enzo scored a goal as well, by the way, in the cup final, I know he's a player that he splits or divides opinion, but he scored in the cup final. He wears the captain's armband sometimes for Chelsea. You go Enzo and Caicedo in midfield. Lavia's a rotational piece. Andre Santos coming back in. In midfield, you're sorted. But if you ask me who starts at right back, it's got to be one of the best right backs in the world in REECE James.
So REECE James and then Caicedo and Enzo in midfield. Now, I think we have to say a huge thank you to Cole Palmer for turning it on when we absolutely needed it yesterday. I mean, I've run out of words for him. I think it's 5 finals, 5 goal contributions. He turns up in the big games when it matters. And yesterday, I feel like he took matters into his own hands. He came out after the game and said he was bored of passing sideways and backwards, and whatever that means. I'm not quite sure what he sort of meant by that in terms of, maybe, like we were saying, there's no movement in front of him.
I think there's a lot of things to consider here. First half, when they got the nose in front, they were defensively very solid, very well organised. Pellegrini has that team, very little space. And I think there was a frustration about how deep they sat. Second half, what I liked in the first 10 minutes of the second half is that we tried to get Jackson in. And it didn't always happen. The ball went out of play. And I see Jackson clap Who was it? Nonny. Nonny played a ball out. And I'm doing the comments saying, there's something, we're trying things different here. It wasn't just keeping the ball for keeping the ball safe. We're trying things. It didn't work, but little by little, we got closer to the edge of the box, closer to the edge of the box. And when we pinned them back as far as they can, I think Cole Palmer felt there's no space in which to pass. I've got to do it myself.
Yeah.
And that cross he put in, I mean, he looks up, he sees it, it's inch perfect, it's begging to be headed in. That's the first one I'm talking about. And then he's got that feel-good factor about doing it, and then he rolls his left foot over it, spins, and the right foot cross. And he was the difference. And after that, they crumbled and we went from strength to strength.
Just a moment of two moments of absolute class. I mean, I was listening to Nonny, Madueke and Tosin, and they were just like, I don't even know what happened. We just gave Palmer the ball and he just did what he does. Yeah,
football has transcended into a manager's game, right? We hear about philosophies, we hear about styles of play. And I do agree, managers win you trophies, but players win you games. And Sharon Ree was on a podcast recently talking about how if you're a wide player, if you're a creative player, sometimes you've got to ignore the manager. Sometimes you just got to try it. And that's what Cole Palmer did. He said he was tired or bored of passing sideways and it's just moments of brilliance to win you cup finals. It's such a great parallel, right? The last time we were in the Europa League final, we won 4-1. That was all off the brilliance of Eden Hazard, the genius who took us to that title and obviously stopped Arsenal from qualifying for the Champions League. Brilliant. But Cole Palmer is the reason why Chelsea going forward will win trophies and win cup finals, because your manager can get you to the dance. But when you get to a cup final, you need players to create those moments. Didier did it for us for years. And Cole Palmer, in this moment where people are asking him to show up in a big game, showed up in a big game and gave us 2 moments of brilliance that won us a European trophy.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he, Cole Palmer? And his interviews after the game were just hilarious.
He's
See, his player of the match trophy just in his like shorts.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I don't have hands. I don't have like pockets." And I was like, "You could hold it. Like, you could just hold your trophy." But he was very deserving of that, and he was the difference. But I think another talking point from that is Jadon Sancho scored a brilliant goal, and I think of like moments like the Spurs goal that got us back into that game when we were 2-0 down, and such a lovely finish, just like once like out of his body, whipped into the corner. But I think we're in a predicament, Jace, because you can pay 25 mil to Man United and keep Jadon Sancho, or you can pay 5 mil to them and send him back. Does yesterday change Chelsea's thinking on what they do with Jadon Sancho?
I very much doubt it. It might, but I doubt it. I don't think you rely on a cameo of half an hour to decide whether the player's good enough to stay at your club. I think the whole time that he's been there have been moments. Have there been enough moments? And I'm not so sure there have been. What I'm wrestling with is it's only 25 million.
In this day and age, that's nothing.
You know, we're pontificating about whether he's going to come. Financially, he's on a huge contract to Manchester United. He will then have to reconfigure his deal and have to rethink about what his wages look like, because we have a structure. I don't know whether they're going to break it, probably not. But in terms of right here, right now, I think it's very much up in the air. I don't think it's a definitive 100% yes. I don't think it's 100% no either.
What would you do? Tough one.
It is a tough one. I'd keep him. Because I look at the places that we need to improve our squad, and it's a spine, right? It's similar to the 2014-15 season where we recalled Thibaut Courtois from loan. We brought in Cesc Fabregas. We brought in Diego Costa. I think the spine of the team needs improving. We need a new goalkeeper, need a new centre-back, need a new striker. I don't know if there's enough resources to go and get a winger. So I look at our wingers right now. Nonny Madueke, Pedro Neto, Esteval obviously comes in, Mudryk maybe, don't know what's happening with that.
I loved that he was there, by the way. And he was like singing along to his song in the pub when the Chelsea fans were singing it. It just made my heart he's so cute.
He's one of those club favourites. But then Jadon Sancho's the other option. I just look at the options that we've got out wide, and I think we leave ourselves short if we don't keep Sancho. 25 mil doesn't get you very much in transfer markets, right?
That's a good deal.
It's a good deal.
That 25 million for him is a good deal, right?
Yeah. Good squad player.
Yeah, I mean, is that what you're saying he is?
I think so.
25 mil gets you squad players.
I don't think he starts.
And having Jadon Sancho as a squad player means you've got a very good squad. Yeah. So I'd pay the 25 mil. I don't want to help Man United out when it comes to...
I think you're probably right, actually. All things considered, for £25 million, it's nothing. Honestly, for Chelsea, it's absolutely nothing. He's a Chelsea fan. Clearly, he's happy here. I'd probably keep him. I would probably keep him. So it's only going to cost us 20 million if you think about the 5 million.
Yeah, because you take away.
So it's 20 million, right?
Yeah.
So 100% keep him 20 million.
Also, I love the fact everyone's paying attention to the wrong Man United loanee. Oh, Anthony's going to do this, Anthony's going to do that.
He was terrible.
He was terrible. Pay attention to Jadon Sancho. That was the right Man United loanee that you should be looking at, and he scored an absolute worldie.
The only time I saw Anthony was when he tried to square up to Enzo. I was like, that's
Enzo a bit Housery from Enzo as well, though.
It's that
What,
classic
Brazilian
South
Argentinian?
American,
No way.
No, yeah, and Jadon Sancho, I think even like the celebrations from the Forest game, even like pre-match for the Conference League, he just seems happy. He seems like he's always like in the middle of all the laughs and the jokes and the bants. It's just, I think he feels at home.
It does feel, just from the outside looking in, he feels comfortable there, and it feels like a right fit. I still want more though.
Yeah.
I still want more. There's more to come from this boy.
Yeah, there is more to come. And hopefully, will we see it next season? I suppose we'll have to wait and see. We spoke about cup finals and having 2 cup finals, Jace. Has the game against Forest, especially the second half of both games, has that shown a little bit more of something that you haven't necessarily seen from this Chelsea team a lot this season?
Definitely. We are a side that this season and the season before has struggled. I always refer to it like a bit of a bloody nose. You know, get a whack on the nose and we don't deal with it very well. Like a boxer takes a punch to the head. We seem to struggle to get ourselves back into the fight.
Yeah.
And the fact that we took the lead against Forest was crucial, because I'm not totally convinced still, had they scored the first goal, we would have seen what we saw last night. And that's another thing that impressed me. Went 1-0 down. If we concede the second goal, we probably don't get our way back into it. I don't know. Maybe we do with REECE coming on. But what really impressed me in the second half against Forest was how we managed it when we got a nose in front. We Nuno. So Nuno's been doing that to teams all season. Get the nose in front, defensively solid, well organised, fighting for every single ball, and that's what we did against Forest. Second half was different yesterday because we had to find our way back into the game. And then when we got ourselves in the game, we didn't sit back. We put our foot on the throat. We got the second, got the third, eventually get the fourth. So 2 similar but very different performances in the second half. And both of them showed me this is a young side maturing right in front of our eyes. Levi Colwell, right? You know, that young man there, he's had his moments where he's been brilliant. He's struggled at times. Yeah. He's a young centre half. He doesn't have a John Terry, a Desailly or a Leboeuf alongside him to learn from. And they're learning on the job a little bit. And over the last 2 games, I think this young side is slowly but surely coming of age in 2 huge games, Liv. 2 of the biggest games of the season back to back, and we won both.
We did win both, and no one expected us. I think obviously we've spoken about everyone expected us to win the Conference League. We all expected us to win the Conference League, and we did. But we were written off, I think, against Forest. There was not many people. I mean, I put my hands up. I didn't think we were
capable. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Fair play,
but not
Kweku.
even just Chelsea fans, though. Yeah. I think Chelsea fans were split down the middle because of what we've seen throughout the season. They weren't sure.
There was a lot of
evidence
to suggest we could go to Forest. We had 2 away wins since the beginning of December.
Yeah.
We had to go and win. And we did. And Kweku, credit Kweku. Kweku said we'd win there, and we did.
It was blind faith, but then I look at the way that we've done it, right? And this is why I absolutely love the end of the season. We won 5 out of the last 6 league games, and barring where we beat the champions Liverpool 3-1, they've all been won by 1 goal. 2-1 against Fulham. You look at the 1-0 against Everton, the 1-0 against Man United, the 1-0 against Forest, and compare that to the beginning of the season where we were scoring for fun. We were the great entertainers. Put 6 past Wolves, put 4 past Brighton, put 5 past Southampton, put 4 past Spurs, and so it's been a complete shift. And the end of the season is Chelsea heritage. It's the way that we used to get over the line. In tight situations, we just get the goal and keep the lead. And that's why I really love the way we've ended it. Again, it was probably blind faith saying that we're going to beat Forest at the City Ground. But towards the back end of the season, we've been the most informed team in the Premier League, and you have to give credit to the manager, because it's all well and good us sitting here and praising the players, and like I say, players win matches, but in terms of looking at the running, everybody said Chelsea got the toughest running. You're playing against Liverpool, playing against Man United, playing against Newcastle, playing against Forest, and we had the toughest running, not just out of teams chasing Champions League places, out of anybody in the league, and we won 5 out of 6. We deserve all the credit, and so does Maresca.
How excited are we to be hearing the Champions League? When we got into the Champions League, all I was listening to was that song. Back in the big time, back where we belong. And this is us. Back in the Champions League. It's been a couple of years out, and we're back in pot 1 and Arsenal are in pot 2.
It's been a while. It feels longer than it actually has, because there's been so much change at the football club. If you think about that team that we played, the last game was at home to Real Madrid, right? And that was the last Champions League game we played.
Are we ready for it?
Yeah, because we're there.
Yeah,
and
we deserve it.
The strange thing about Chelsea is that whenever we're in the Champions League, I always think we've got a chance. It doesn't matter who come up against.
Yeah.
We were unlucky that we drew Real Madrid 3 years in a row. Obviously, the first year we beat them, we won the trophy. The next 2 years they were close.
Oh,
well, not the
close.
third year, but the second year was close,
Yeah.
and we unfortunately went out. So we've always got a chance against anybody in the Champions League. Of course, the format's different. It's a new Champions League that we're not used to. But if you're in it, you're gonna have to try and win it, right? And I feel like under the lights at Stamford Bridge, magic happens. We've seen so many magical nights, and of course we're going to go into it, and we're not going to be one of the favourites. But if you're in the competition, you've always got a chance. So let's just see how things go. But I'm so excited to have Tuesdays and Wednesdays back, right?
Thursday, Sunday. Get rid.
Get rid.
Thursday, Sunday was tiresome.
Oh, it's horrible.
goodness.
Wasn't it tiresome?
Thursday,
Give us a
Sunday,
weekend
every
back.
week.
We want a weekend back.
Give me some Saturday 3 o'clock games.
There you go.
Can't wait. We're going to play a little game.
Go.
Obviously, we've spoken about the Forest win and how important it was, and Maresca obviously knowing that was the biggest game of the season. He's picked his strongest team. So, assuming they're all fit, which of the players that started the Forest game are going to be starting our first game of the season? Obviously, Club World Cup pre-season, but assuming they're all fit, I'm going to read you out the starting 11. You're going to tell me which players you think are going to start. So, Robert Sanchez in goal. Will he be starting?
No. Thank you for the service, Robert. You actually did well towards the back end of the season.
He did, and I think he deserves a little bit of credit because he has come into a lot of criticism from Chelsea fans. I mean, rightly or wrongly, he probably will understand that he's made mistakes when he maybe shouldn't have, but I think he has stepped up a little bit towards the back end of the season.
No.
No? Not even a little bit? No? In the last, 6 games, he's been all right.
No, he has been, but like, in terms of asking me that question, no.
Jace?
I think we'll find a new goalkeeper. I think that's where. Whether Sanchez is still at the club or not, probably. But I think a new goalkeeper. Whether it's going to be Petrovic, who's out on loan, the lad Penders is going to be coming in.
Yeah.
He may well go out on loan again, but I don't think Sanchez starts the first game of the season.
No. I am also today that Kevin Kelleher's available for 20 mil, and I just think I know we're not going to buy another goalkeeper, but I'd spend 20 mil on Kevin Kelleher.
Yeah. Someone will.
Brentford.
Someone
apparently.
will. Yeah.
Okay, Reece James.
Yes.
Yep. Starts the first game of the season?
Yeah.
I mean,
depending on the opposition.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a yes. No, I know, but the reason I'm kind of hesitating is because he didn't start last night.
Yeah.
But no, Reece starts.
Yeah. He is.
Yeah, he starts.
Given what he's, this is the longest run of games he's played in however long. He looks fit. He looks good. He's
managed to get through at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Liv. How many times come at the end of the season he's doing rehab?
Yeah.
All right, and I feel for the boy. All right, but delighted for him. And when he came, honestly, I know we said it, but I've got to say, when he came on, he added real stability. It's a little bit of a calming figure all through the team. So starts.
Yeah, still only 25 as well.
Yep.
Tosin Adarabioyo, no.
I think still at the club.
That's not my question.
I think still at the club. Starts that first game. Well, what's happening with Trevor? I mean, for me, the best partnership that we kind of had going into the back of the season was Colwell and Trev. Right? Trev's got himself in the England squad.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, he played last night, and you could see why maybe he didn't start against Forest. I think Trevor probably ahead of Tosin starts at the first game of the season.
Okay, but if it's not Trevor and it's not Tosin, who would you want to partner? I'm assuming Levi Colwill.
Well, we need to bring somebody in. I don't have that name. I was literally...
Experienced, though?
Yeah, experience. I know that we've got a model and we're not bringing in players over a certain age, but this is the one position where I'm like, please just break that model. First of all, centre-backs' salaries aren't as high as going to bring in a 28-year-old striker. So go and bring in like a 27, 28-year-old that's won stuff, that's experienced, that can lead the back line, and that can allow Levi Colwill to concentrate on his own game. I don't think Colwill's at that position yet where he's ready to marshal the back line, right? He needs to concentrate on his own game, and I think they're bringing...
Just on the... Sorry,
that's right.
Do you not think that he's developed as a player this season,
Levi,
compared to this time last year, to what he is now?
Yeah.
There is a little bit more of a leader qualities that I'm seeing in his game. But you're right, you need someone... I use John Terry and Desiree because it's the best example I can think of.
So hard to find like that sort of like player now, though, I think.
Yeah,
someone that's like, you're thinking like late 20s,
Yeah, I don't know who it is. That's down to our scouting department. But that's what I.
Asking you though, Craig.
Asking me. I don't know. I was googling it on the train on the way here, and I couldn't find anyone who fits that mould, right? And maybe it doesn't have to be somebody that old. Because when Arsenal brought in Saliba, he was still very young.
Yeah.
But everybody's levels upped.
Yeah.
Gabriel got better. I remember Gabriel before Saliba. People forget.
That's right.
A lot of errors.
Yeah.
And so somebody like that might be the fit, but we need somebody else in.
By the way, third best defensive record in the league.
Wow.
That blows my mind, yeah.
Really?
Third best, yeah.
So,
Behind Arsenal and Liverpool, isn't it?
Behind Liverpool and Arsenal. Wow. So, defensively, there were moments this season, right? And that's in the beginning of the new year, where we couldn't keep a clean sheet for fun, right? Could not keep a clean sheet for fun. As towards the end of the season, as Craig has highlighted, clean sheets were more regular. Defensively, a tougher team to break down. And maybe we'll look at that and go, maybe Tosin and Colwill and Trev, between the three of them, there will be, Badiashile, don't know where he's going, but there might be enough there between the three of them. There might be.
Yeah. Okay, so Levi Colwill.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I think especially the back end of this season is when he's really, really stepped up.
I've been very impressed with him. Very
again, I
impressed
think
with him.
you know how REECE James has steadied the ship. Steadied the ship yesterday. I think Levi Colwill did as well.
So maybe
I think it was
maybe
just a
he's
bit
developing
more of a
into that.
calming presence at the back.
Maybe take a step up.
Yeah.
And I don't think Poch helped him last year by playing him left back. Stalled his development.
Also, that's just like the more I think about that, why on earth was he playing?
Insane.
Middlesbrough away in the semi-final.
Insane.
Hey, Levi Colwill left back.
Oh my gosh,
Anyway.
poor thing. Anyway,
we'll pass that now. Mark Cucurella.
Yeah, left back.
100%. Best left back in the league.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Popped up with so many big goals and so many big moments. Could have been Chelsea's player of the season had Moises Caicedo. And
Probably second.
Palmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say second actually.
Probably
Would you say ahead of Palmer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Palmer had brilliant start to the season.
Good end.
Good end in between, but he's a young man, so.
Okay, there's no point me asking Moises Caicedo, is there?
Yes, of course.
No. Yeah,
No,
player of the season.
move on.
One of the best midfielders in the league. Enzo Fernandez.
Yes. Yeah.
Starts.
See,
Starts. He starts. Yeah? Nah, yeah, he starts.
I don't know.
He starts.
Does he start? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I would personally have Lavia. I'm just putting it out there. Like, I suppose, like you say, it depends on the opposition. If it's a bigger game, like if it's a Liverpool or a City, I'm playing Lavia and Caicedo.
Don't hate it.
But obviously, if it's a Brentford,
Yeah, there will be horses for courses.
Yeah.
And that's the luxury you should have as a club like Chelsea, competition places and strength all over the pitch.
Andre Santos on the bench.
Yes.
Another bit of good cover. Right, Noni Madueke.
No.
Why no?
Because Estelle Williams is going to come in and change
You
his
reckon
lives.
he's going to start straight away, though?
I'm honestly just having talked to people who watch South American football. I can't claim to have watched a whole game of Palmeiras.
Yeah.
But talking to people who watch this kid closely, he is the real deal and he's going to come and change our lives. I think we'll see it. I think the manager will see it in training in pre-season. And I think when it gets to the first game, we'll be so excited and he'll be the player that starts on the right-hand side. I've only watched compilations. This kid looks special.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say on that is that it's the Premier League.
Yeah.
It is a different league. It's physically, it's demanding in other ways that other leagues aren't. And he might take a bit of time to get that starting berth. Eventually, if we've seen, and I've seen the same clips as you, if he does develop physically and got into the young man that we hope and think he will, then I think there'll be a time where he's an absolute must. First game of the season, not convinced yet.
So Noni Madueke, yes or no?
I'm going to go, yeah.
You think he's going to start on the right?
I'm going to go, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Or start on the left, maybe, because that's generally where.
You think he's going to start?
I think he's going to start.
You think he'll be in the starting 11?
I think he's going to start.
Cole Palmer.
Move on.
Let's move on. Yeah. Jadon Sancho.
If he's here, he'll be a squad player. I don't think he starts in the first game. You know, and I mean, the team we're talking about here, we haven't even got Jackson here. I think we have to mention Jackson because, of course, he's suspended.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you will. But I think naturally, if everyone's fit, Pedro, who starts up against Forest, I think
Probably
right
starts.
now, I think Pedro starts ahead of Sancho, and Noni starts ahead of Sancho as well.
Okay, so we're going Jadon Sancho, no.
Yeah, Pedro Neto.
And Pedro Neto on the left.
All right.
All right.
Or
Probably
the right.
Probably right.
Okay, probably right, but he still starts.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nicholas Jackson suspended for that game against Forest. If he's fit for that game, he starts, right?
No.
No, for that Forest game.
Yes.
Yeah, so if Jackson isn't suspended,
Correct.
he starts for Forest.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
does he start Chelsea's first league game of the new season?
No. Not if we buy a centre forward.
Yeah.
And I think we saw last night, Jackson has definitely got something to offer. I think he's been let down a little bit by the fact that there's not another player in the squad that's pushing him. And I think Jackson will benefit as an individual having someone to fight for his position because there has been no one Liv. Mark Guiu's been injured.
Yeah.
Pedro Neto's done a job down the middle for us. You know, even saw Palmer last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the game last night. But really, I feel Jackson needs to learn still more of his trade. There's lots to like, and we've seen plenty of it. There's lots to improve as well.
Sorry, that touch really made me laugh yesterday.
Yeah.
When Jadon Sancho put it
And that was at 2-1, right?
And it really...
That was at 2-1.
And I know it could have come back to haunt us. Obviously, we can look back now and laugh. But,
Come on, mate.
But that
Come on. And the thing is, I think Nick Jackson's a very effective footballer, but when you see the balls that Cole Palmer puts into the box, and people talk about Cole Palmer having an off season. If your off-season scoring 15 league goals, then I'd like to have some of his off-seasons. Yeah. But the balls that he put into the box last night, if you've got a box crasher of a striker, someone physical who's going to be on the end of it, which Jackson was for the second one, I think that striker will score a lot of goals. I think Jackson can offer something in behind, but go and get me a striker that's an out-and-out number 9 that will get you 20 league goals and win us the league.
There was a ball that came in the box against Newcastle away at 1-0 down. A physical to the face of the goal.
Yes.
And Jackson was on his heels. I think Jackson still needs to be that centre forward that gambles, that goes in. Yeah. And that natural ability or the instinct, whatever you want to call it, still needs to be tuned. Still needs to be coached. There's a lot to come from Jackson still, though.
Yeah, there is. I mean, Liam DELAP is obviously one of the names we've spoken about on this pod, but I think as the days go on and sort of creep by, it does feel like it's looking a little bit more likely that he is probably going to be the striker, maybe one of the strikers that Chelsea bring in. £30 million release clause after they got relegated.
If you're a young striker watching last night's game, and you see Jackson up top, you'll think to yourself, there's a chance in there. You know, like I said, there's more to come from Jackson, but as a young centre forward, let's say you are Liam watching that, you're going, I'd probably start. I'd probably start. So that's a really encouraging sign to think, you bring someone in, you're probably going to be my number 1, number 9.
I'd probably start for a team that's qualified for the Champions League. Apparently, the two options were Man United or Chelsea. Ben Jacobs and Alex Cook, obviously two fantastic journalists for talkSPORT, reported yesterday that Liam DELAP's edging closer to a move to Chelsea. And like Jay said, if you're watching that, you're thinking, I've got a chance of displacing Jackson in the starting 11. And if you look at the balls that Cole Palmer plays in, and then look at the amount of goals that Liam DELAP scored in the team in Ipswich, didn't create that many chances, and look at how good he was against us, I think that for 30 million, you should bring him in.
And
I've put my neck on the line for Liam DELAP as well. I've talked about it all the time, about lineage of England strikers, and I think that come the 2026 World Cup, if Liam DELAP makes the right move, there's going to be conversations of who should be playing for England. And I think that Chelsea, off the back of how we ended last season, qualifying for the Champions League, would be a great move for the young lads.
Yeah, I love everything about him apart from the dive that won a penalty against us earlier in the season.
If he's doing it for us, we're
Yeah, that's very true, actually.
Good dive, though.
If he does it, was a good dive. Very convincing, actually.
We missed the dark arts of Chelsea.
We have.
That's why Cucurella's one of my favourite players. That's why I'm buying into Enzo Fernandez, because the Housery is what you need to get over the line, and these players are now starting to show it.
OK, so we're all in agreement that we would like Liam DELAP at Chelsea for £38 million. Right, we are going to do a little end-of-season award. Because I think it's been a success this season. Getting fourth in the league, playing Champions League football, winning the Conference League, I think that was what most people wanted from this season, and it has been achieved. So we're going to pick a few things. Our first one is moment of the season. Jace.
Not that long ago, actually, for me, a turning point in the season. I'm going to be a bit greedy. It's going to be about a 6-minute spell in the game. It was Tyreek George's equaliser against Fulham and the Neto goal. Those two moments, I think, was the difference between us getting top 4, top 5 or not. Had we lost that game, I'm not convinced that we'd been able to get back into it. One, because of the points deficit. But I think that gave us something. I think that genuinely gave us belief that we can go in and do it. Tyreek George, well done here. Brilliant striker's instinct goal. You know, turn, swivel. The goal doesn't move. You know where the goal is. Hit the target, hit it low. Brilliant strike. And the Pedro Neto one. And that for me, was the turning point in our season that confirmed we are capable of getting top 4, top 5.
See, my moment of the season is at the beginning of the season, and I was torn. I was going to go over Cole Palmer free kick against Brighton, the game that he scored 4 goals. But I'm going for us putting 6 past Wolves.
Nice.
Because
that feels so long ago.
That was so long ago.
Like this season.
I was going to say.
But that's what changed my mindset, right? Because going into the season, I wasn't too sure. I wasn't confident of finishing the top 4. And then we score 6 against Wolves. Obviously, Noni puts out the Instagram post about Wolves and
that's one of the best moments.
And he scores a hat-trick against them. We're free-flowing in attack. Your mate, Jamie O'Hara, goes on TV and says, this Chelsea team can win the league. Yeah. Obviously, I didn't believe that. But it gave us some hope and optimism. Like, this is a young team, but we can score goals and beat good opposition. And I thought, that game really changed my mindset in terms of where I think this team could have gone.
I really like the goal against Newcastle at Stamford Bridge. That's one of my favourite moments of the season, and it has been nominated for the Premier League goal of the season because it was just the pass from Palmer, the touch from Neto, and the finish was just perfection. I love that, and I also love the Man United game at Stamford Bridge because, again, rubbish game, but that goal from Marc Cucurella in that moment, we don't get top four again.
Another one of those moments.
Fulham started it, but Man United, we needed. Being 0-0, like that was like the Fulham one was like 6 minutes of just pure elation. But I think Man United was big for us.
Both on the back of that, they both feed onto one another. Point I was making. Without the Fulham goal, the Man United goal probably doesn't come either. So,
okay, next one. We obviously know Moises Caicedo won Player of the Season, by far and away Chelsea's best player without a doubt. Unsung hero of the season. I'm
going Levo Colwill.
Yeah.
I made the point earlier that he has developed this season into there's a leadership qualities that I'm watching. Stepped up with a huge goal, of course, against Forest. But there's something about him now where he demands a first team place. And, you look through if REECE isn't skipper and then, Enzo isn't and Caicedo's the next one, I think probably Levi's the one after that. So he's got that kind of quality about him. Developed as a young player, so much more to come. But he hasn't quite got the plaudits outside of Chelsea, I feel, that he deserves. But he's developed as a player, and for me, he's our unsung hero.
Kweku?
Gone for Marc Cucurella. And I don't know how unsung he is, right? Because we've all been singing his praises all season. But I just feel like the transformation and what Chelsea fans and football fans in general were saying about Marc Cucurella 18 months ago is completely different to how he's viewed right now. Scored so many important goals for Chelsea. Like you mentioned, the moment of the season, he was there for it. And I just think that when you look at left-backs in the Premier League and you look at who gets talked about, who gets put in the team this season, I think Marc Cucurella's unfortunate to not be in those conversations. Won the Euros for Spain, and for Chelsea this year, he's been absolutely incredible and one of our leaders on the pitch. So for me, it's Marc Cucurella.
Yeah, I love those two shouts. Right, the thing that's impressed you most about Enzo Maresca this season?
I felt that at the beginning of the season, he had a way of playing, and we lost our way halfway through that season. And he had to get that back on track. And there would have been a lot of people, probably ourselves included, critical had we not got top 5 because that extra space that was delivered. I think the back end of the season, how he has managed the team selection. I know we've been a bit critical of what happened last night, and we all want to see restart. But I think how he's managed to get through from a lot of criticism. And you felt there's a post-match presser, it might be the pre-match presser going into this final, where he said about the journos, telling people, So clearly he reads, clearly he hears, and he would have felt that pressure. And he's actually come through, fourth best manager in the league, and he's won a trophy. And I feel the last 7 or 8 games of this season, after the Fulham and onwards, he's shown that actually he can manage this squad and get the wins, the 1-0 wins, be tight at the back. That's probably the best thing about what Maresca's done this season, is the last 8, 9, 10 games.
I would agree.
I would say probably the management of the squad, because people forget how much was made last summer about how big this Chelsea squad is. People can't fit in the dressing room.
Bloated.
Where are they all going to get changed?
Where are they going to get changed? They can't register people for this competition, for that competition. Nobody talks about that anymore, right?
It's true. Honestly, I haven't heard a peep from anyone.
They did say that, didn't they?
Where are they going to get dressed?
It was nonsense. And it wasn't nonsense because it was real. We had so many players. And that was the biggest discourse in the summer. We don't hear about that anymore, right? We don't hear about how bloated this Chelsea team is and how this player's going to be unhappy because they're not getting enough minutes. He's found a way to rotate this squad. Granted, he was helped out in January where he managed to offload some players. But in terms of managing people and keeping people happy with such a big squad, for that he deserves a lot of credit, because all the questions in the summer transfer window was, how's this person going to feel? How are you going to deal with this person? He just had to just bat it away. And he batted it away and got Chelsea to the top 4 and win a trophy. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Even some people said, don't sign for Chelsea.
Yep.
Not saying that now, are they? No, they're not. OK, and one thing that he could improve on going into next season?
I think when the moments are down that we found ourselves after Fulham home on Boxing Day, there seemed to be a bit of a tailspin. We didn't quite know, weren't keeping enough clean sheets. That's something he's done that I've been impressed with. I think when things aren't going so well, and I'm not just talking in-game measures, I'm talking game to game, find a way not to lose too many games, because how we finished fourth, I don't quite know. That period after Boxing Day going into the new year, January into Feb, we were dropping so many points.
I think it's because of the teams below us, though, that were as inconsistent as us.
They failed there. Yeah. I think that there needs to be a period in games as well, and periods in the season where we need to make sure we stay in games. Yeah. Be a little bit more harder to beat. And also, you think about how we set up that ball retention.
Yeah.
Can we be a little bit more flamboyant?
For me, those teams that we fell in love with the managers, right? We love Thomas Tuchel. Yeah. We love Jose Mourinho. In Conte's season, we absolutely loved them because they got the fans on side. So I want to see him just, I don't know, get the fans on board a little bit more. He's a little bit standoffish, a little bit icy cold. And when you ask Chelsea fans what you think of Maresca, despite the fact he's had a very good first season, fans are torn.
Yeah,
like, think about Tuchel's second season. He finished third and we didn't win a trophy. For most other Chelsea managers, that's a death sentence.
Yeah.
But we love Tommy T. We absolutely loved him. And even when we started the next season poorly, when we sacked him, we were absolutely devastated. And so Maresca, in terms of getting the fans on side, being a little bit more clear with your communication, we will fall in love with you. Because let's be honest, as Chelsea fans, we can ask for more expressive football, but the best Chelsea teams we've ever seen didn't play great football. We just want results.
There was just something about them, though. I wasn't ever bored watching us.
It was the managers. It was the managers.
Yeah, I wasn't bored watching us when we were playing pragmatic.
It was Mourinho on the touchline. It was Conte going absolutely... I remember Conte's first game going absolutely mental against West Ham. And we were like, oh, who's this? What's this? Tommy Tuchel absolutely losing the... Like the game against Spurs where Tommy Tuchel grabs Conte. Yeah. We need a bit of that.
Sort of stuff,
Chelsea fans need a bit of that to buy in. The football's the football. If you're winning games, it's fine. Give us a little bit more as a manager and we'll warm to you.
Can we also just accept that Maresca's had a good season?
Yeah, definitely.
Can we all, because I know he's coming
100%.
for a lot of criticism, both internally from the Chelsea fans, externally from the rest of the media. Yeah. Fourth and a trophy. Yeah. Honestly, don't underestimate how good he has done. Could things improve? Of course.
Absolutely.
No one's going to be happy with him.
Out of 10, what do you give him, Jace?
I'm going to give him an 8.
I'd give him a 7.
7.
But that's exactly what we've got from this season is exactly what I said at the start of the season. That should have been our aim. I know Maresca was coming out and saying, no, Champions League over the next 2 years. I believe this squad, with the amount of money spent, should have got Champions League this season based off of what we did last season. And he's done it, and he deserves huge credit for that because he has come under a lot of pressure. And he's delivered what he needed to deliver, and we're playing Champions League football next season with a trophy. So I think definitely. Just one final question quickly before we go. If you could only buy one player over the summer, only one position, make it realistic, who would it be and why?
DELAP. Sorry, it's boring.
Yeah. No, it's not boring. No, it's not.
Bit dull.
So you'd stick with Sanchez in goal, or would you have Petrovic come back in and then...
We've got a goalkeeper in Petrovic. We mentioned about Penders. I don't know whether he's going to come in and be a realistic young man that can take the gloves, but there's enough there. But one signing, we need another striker. Yeah. That is imperative.
I'm with you again. It's a boring answer. We all think Petrovic will come in. We don't know what centre back we want to go next to Levi Colwill. So DELAP is the answer. Give me a striker that scores goals.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, hopefully we can get Liam DELAP over the line. It's very exciting. Obviously, we've got the Club World Cup to come as well, but it has been a huge success this season. We are obviously back in the Champions League, which we've all wished for. That is where we belong. Right, that is it for another episode of Inside Chelsea. Now, we will be back for one final episode of the season on Thursday next week. Now, it's going to be a Reddit Ask Me Anything special. So check the comments in this YouTube video on Tuesday. If you've got a question for the boys, all the info you need will be there. Thank you very much for your company. Jason, Kweku, thank you so much. We will see you next time. Conference League champions, we've won it all. Up the Chelsea.